Okay, so good morning, everyone. I will be letting people join as we go throughout the presentation. So the next few minutes, if I do drop off from the presentation, it's simply just to let people in. Good morning, Catherine. Today's event is in partnership with CIAT. We've worked with CIAT for a little while now, and it's a wonderful community, and we're really grateful to be a part of it and to deliver these events for you all. So I wanted to start by saying congratulations on investing your time, for being here today and for joining the event. Time is a critical challenge for all business owners in all different types of industries. And today is about you. It is fully about you. So please do take notes. If you do not have so already, get a notepad and a pen, or if you're going to be taking notes on your phone, just have everything ready so you can note down any of those light bulbs that go off in your mind. There's going to be participation exercises as well, so you're going to need to write things down. Ideally, if you have got pen and paper, it is preferred, because there's just something quite magical about taking a thought that's in your mind, committing it to paper and bringing it to life. You all know as designers that when you do this, it just basically starts that first step to something becoming a reality. You will forget 97% of what you learn today, what we cover today. So that's why note taking is massively important. The other critical part of this, and some of you have demonstrated this already, is with our event being virtual, your participation, you being involved and partaking in the conversations that we have throughout the day, and any questions that I ask is going to be critical. And the way that you do that is via the chat box. So in order to put this to the test, to see if everyone's awake, everyone's with me, and you are all participating, in the chat box at the moment, can you please write down your top frustration when it comes to time? Is it, it could be anything to do with not having enough time for family or friends? Is it firefighting all of the time, not enough hours in the day? What is your number one frustration when it comes to time in your business at the moment? Answers in the chat box, please. James, having a 2-year-old. James, I've got twins, so I feel your pain on that one. Planners, not enough time, work-life balance, distractions, admin time, emails. Oh, emails. That is a juicy one. Not enough hours in the day. Too much legacy from 17 years of trading. That's interesting. WhatsApp, client and planners changing, admin emails, lack of creative time. Very, very interesting. Thank you to everyone who's participating so far. It is critical. So look, we are going to cover a lot of very powerful principles for you today to start making some changes in your life and to start winning some of those hours back. So what are we going to be covering today? How to find more hours in the day. It's time mastery for practice owners. So here's some of the topics that we will be covering. Identifying what causes time chaos. And it is chaos in your life from time. I'll be sharing with you the structure that we use when we coach our clients to build a business. And you can take screen grabs of that so that you can start doing the same for yourself in terms of building your practice. Powerful principles on how to prioritize your time, because this is critical when it comes to decision making on how you use your time. And a highly effective time management tool for me, which was an absolute game changer. Steve, you're requesting to record the meeting. I'm recording this. You will be getting a recording after the event, so I'm going to just deny the access for the moment. And finally, understanding the impact on personal and business life when you're wearing a few too many hats. Okay. Bear with me, everyone. We still have people joining, which is great. So look, I wanted to take a moment just to share how this webinar works. We've delivered quite a few with CIAT, and they've evolved over time. And ultimately, you look at today as a piece of education that you're going to be going through, and it's the first step of education with us in particular. So at the end of the presentation, I will be offering you the chance to work on your business one-to-one and it's completely gifted, but it is the second stage of making the changes that you want in your life for your business. I primarily use Instagram, so if you want to stay in contact, you can quickly scan this QR code and connect with me on Instagram, and ask any questions that you've got there. I can send you voice notes and help you overcome some of the initial challenges that you might face when it comes to actioning the learnings that you face here today. As I said, today is part one of your education, and for those who do want to change, who do want to take action, there will be an option for a part two at the end of the webinar. So who am I? What's my story? My name is Cooks. Well, called Deep Singh Sahota is my name. Everyone knows me as Cooks, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've got 3 businesses, and I spend the bulk of my time now as a business coach. My story is that I started a property development business actually out in India with a friend of mine. I didn't speak the language, but we built 152 apartments in an area that I'd never been to before, and I sold out of that business to start my family business, which is what you see on the right hand side, making chili sauce. Naturally, my dad created this sauce, everyone loved it, and we started picking chilies by hand, destroyed my mum's kitchen in the process, elevated ourselves and scaled up to the garden shed, and from there the business just boomed. So we grew very aggressively, we grew very rapidly, and we ended up being on TV. We were on BBC One, we were on the radio, all the newspapers that you could possibly imagine, the Evening Standard, the Mail on Sunday, the Telegraph. We were in Vogue, and it was a very exciting and exhilarating time of my life. We raised, over £200,000 worth of investment from angel investors, and it was incredible. The interesting part is that a few years into the business, I actually realized that I hated what I was doing. The business had taken on a life of its own, and time was a big problem for me. My boss was an absolute lunatic, i.e. me. There were no days off. I was working evenings and weekends. It was affecting my health, relationships, not being able to see friends. I definitely felt like I was underpaid for all the work that I was putting into the business, and really I saw no way out. I knew there must be another way, but I could not see any other way out. So the image that you see on the left-hand side is from our social media, our Instagram page, and it's me working at 10:17 p.m. on a Saturday night. I've got my hands in the air. I'm celebrating the fact that I've got this hustle mentality and I'm working. And for me, I thought this was normal. I thought that you have to be working all the hours available in order to be an entrepreneur and to be a business owner. And really, it was just killing me inside, and I absolutely hated it. I literally took work home with me. This is in the middle of the screen. You'll see my brother in our old house where we stored chili sauces, and we used our living room as a warehouse. And though you may not have chili sauce, I'm sure many of you can relate in terms of taking work home with you. Even if it's not physically doing work, you're probably thinking a lot about it, and it holds you back from actually living the type of life that you want to live. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I just knew that the life that I had is not what I wanted, and there had to be another way. And I stumbled upon coaching. A friend of mine that has always been successful was becoming more and more successful, yet he had time, something that I didn't have. And I was just fascinated to understand how he could do this. Admittedly, I had to swallow my own ego. And when I did, I attended a coaching session, and from that first coaching session, my life changed. It was a huge shift in thinking of what I thought was possible. And I realized the biggest problem in the business was me. It was the way that I was conducting myself, the way that I was looking at time, the way that I was doing things in my business. And it had such a big impact on me that on my way home from my first session, I booked my first 7-day holiday in 7 years. The picture on the right-hand side is in Greece with my wife. And there was no laptop, no mobile phone. I was definitely not working, and it was the first time that we'd ever managed to do that in a very, very long time. And so that is my journey in terms of who I am, what I've achieved so far, and why I'm sitting here coaching you all on time and time management, because the coaching has such a profound impact on me that when the opportunity came to become a coach myself, I studied and I qualified to become a coach so I could help other entrepreneurs and business owners overcome the challenges that I know I was facing, and to hopefully avoid some of the challenges that I'd come across as my business grew and as it scaled. So today I have 3 businesses, and I'm a coach. I've got twins, as I mentioned earlier on, and I managed to live and enjoy life because of the things that I've learned, and more importantly, it's because of what I've been able to action and implement. And today I'm going to share with you how you can start to do the same. So to start with, a very important question to ask yourself is, what story are you telling yourself? What do you believe to be true? So just answers in the chat box. Does anyone know who this person is that you're seeing in front of you? The person running looks like he's full of anguish or relief, should I say. Answers in the chat box. Does anyone know who that is? Yes, no, you can put the name as well. Roger Bannister, a couple of question marks. Roger Bannister. Everyone knows who this person is. Fantastic. Do you know the story of Roger Bannister? I'm assuming some of you will, but some of you won't. So the story of Roger Bannister, and the reason I'm sharing it with you is very, very interesting and actually quite fascinating. Up until 1954, it was thought to be humanly impossible to run 1 mile in 4 minutes or less. All the scientists, the top thinkers in the world, thought that the biology of the human body could not achieve a mile in less than 4 minutes. Roger Bannister thought different. He didn't actually train that much for the feet, but oh, sorry, just got some people joining. So he didn't actually train that much for the feet, but he turned up this one day in 1954 and actually managed to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. And it was the first time in recorded history that had ever happened. And all of a sudden, something that was thought to be impossible became possible. And it was a genuine paradigm shift in thinking for not only Roger Bannister, but for anyone interested in his story and what he was trying to achieve. Now, the interesting part is not the fact that he ran a mile in less than 4 minutes. The interesting part is that it only lasted 46 days. His record only lasted 46 days. And then someone else broke it, and then someone else broke it, and then someone else broke it. And I believe in the next 12 months, following him breaking the 4 minute mile barrier, 20 other people achieved it. Now, obviously, since then, thousands and thousands of people have achieved it. And in fact, you know, the marathon's been run in under 2 hours. Something that was thought to be humanly impossible before has been achieved. So it's important to ask yourself, what stories are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself it's impossible to have more hours in the day? Are you telling yourself it's impossible to take a break from work? Are you telling yourself it's impossible to, you know, make some of the changes that you know you have to be making in your personal life, in your business life, in the way that you think and talk to yourself? Now, if anything is springing to mind, if there are any stories that you're telling yourself that you're starting to question, please do jot them down and note them down, because they are critical to some of the actions and the activities that we're going to be doing later on. So, key areas of frustration most business owners face when we work with them, and it's across the board, doesn't matter what industry that you're in. Time, which is what we're covering today. Team, finding the right people, hanging on to the right people, training the right people, overcoming disciplinary issues, training issues, growth issues. Money, so this is anything to do with cash flow, profit and loss, margins, fee structures. I know a lot of you struggle with this, fee structures, and ensuring that your time is being paid for adequately and properly. And you know, if there's scope creep, how do you earn some of those fees back over, you know, with the scope creep? And marketing is a big challenge for a lot of business owners, because most of the time you are a really well-kept secret, and the way in which you market yourself is critically important, and the story again that you tell your audience is critically important. But we will be covering all of these areas in the webinars with CIAT, and as I said, today is about time and overcoming some of the frustrations that you may be facing with this. So answers in the chat box. I love these series of questions. Answers in the chat box. What is your definition of a business? What is your definition of a business? Be interesting to see what everyone has to say about that. An income generating hobby, money. James, Kevin, thank you. Any others? What is the definition of a business? If you don't know, put a question mark, because I'm sure there's going to be other people thinking the same, but perhaps not saying it. And the whole idea is that we encourage each other to participate. A mortgage payer, Catherine, interesting. Freedom. Gary, providing a product or system, a company that earns money. Oh, we're getting closer. We're getting closer. Offering a service through one's expertise. Occupation. Very interesting, Nathan. Any others? Let's see what's everyone saying. Okay, a lot of very interesting definitions of what a business is. And I had similar definitions until I learned this. And this has now become my de facto definition of what a business is. A business is a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you. Now, with you being creatives and designers, there's a caveat that I'd like to add to this particular statement. A commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you, if you wish. Now, that's not to say that you stop practicing your discipline, but it is to say that ideally you want most of the business to be working without you, and you then have the choice to do the design work that you're doing, rather than having to do it in order to pay the mortgage and earn fees. So a definition of a business is a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you. Now, this is critical for you to understand, because it links into how we coach and how we define the ideal way to build a business. So what is a business coach? It's essentially the unreasonable friend who holds you accountable and guides you along the way through some of the challenges that you might be facing. Is coaching, i.e. what we're doing today, right for you? If you're someone that's an I know, yeah, but type of person, probably not. Your mindset's probably going to be quite fixed in the way that you do things and want to do things. However, if you're the type of person that says, go on, I'm listening, that's interesting, you're open to new ideas and growth, then possibly coaching and doing this type of education is going to be right for you. This particular statement, a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you, if you wish, if you can learn this, and the reason I've written learn this is because you have to learn how to make that happen, you will win. You'll have more time, more money, more freedom to do what you want in life. And I can genuinely say I'm living proof of that. It's a work in progress, but life is completely different to what it used to be. So what is time management? What is your definition of time management? Answers in the chat box, please. What is your definition of time management? Let's have a look what everyone thinks. Lists, meeting deadlines. Time management. What is time management? Completing all the tasks you set yourself. Control, finding a way to fit in the task, dictating the time you allocate to each task, okay? Making the best of the time you have at work. Efficient use of time, Simon. Really interesting definitions. Managing your actions effectively and having time for yourself, Paul. Very close, very close. Any others? What is time management? Another question, what actually is the challenge with time management? An efficient use of limited resource. Interesting. So look, something for you to note down, and this is linked to having a paradigm shift in your thinking. We cannot control the hours on a clock and how time moves. However, what we can control is ourselves. Time management is actually self-management. So I'll repeat that because it's critical to our understanding of how we move forward. Time management is self-management. It's how you manage yourself in the time that you have available. Okay? So that's what time management is. Time management is self-management, and is how you manage yourself in the time that you have available in your day. Because we cannot control time. We cannot increase the number of hours in the day, but we can control how we operate within that time frame. So time management is self-management. How do you manage yourself? So this is the 6-step system that we coach people on to build their businesses. Okay. Please take a screen grab of this, use it as a framework to start building and scaling your businesses. The first layer that we coach people on is called mastery, and it's to eliminate chaos. We've talked about this today, time chaos. And we're covering this today, obviously, it's time mastery, but we have destination mastery. You know, where are you actually going? What's your purpose? What's your goal? What's your vision? What's your mission statement? All of those types of things. Time mastery is the topic of today. Delivery mastery is the best example I can think of is perhaps a McDonald's. You go to any McDonald's in any corner of the world, and they will deliver your product to you in the exact same way when you're in store. It comes in a bag, you place your order, it's delivered to you, and off you go. And then money mastery is, as it says, mastery of your money and understanding the ins and outs of your business. And what we start to do at the base layer is eliminate chaos, so you've got order in your life. We then start to build predictable cash flow using niches, so USPs and guarantees and so on and so forth. Then it's about becoming more and more efficient with what you have in place. You know, you've eliminated chaos, you've got some order in your life, you started to build some predictable cash flow. And now it's about efficiencies and improving what you've got in place. Once that's in place, then it's about structuring your business for growth. How do you scale and grow? And you may not want a 20 or 30 person practice. You may be happy with a 5 or 3 person practice. But the idea is that there's growth that's going to happen over time. And how do you structure for that? Eventually, you want to get to the position where you've got a well-oiled machine. The business that can start to work without you if you wish. So if you want to carry on designing, that's okay, but it's almost like you've got a job within your own business as a designer. And then finally, you're at the stage where it's your own personal growth and maybe looking at new business opportunities, whether it's property development, design, furniture design, continuing your own business, but in a slightly different niche. But ultimately, what this system does is it allows you to build massive results with time, team, money, and marketing over a period of time. Now, I can say from firsthand experience and the hundreds of businesses we've coached, building a business to work without you takes at least 3 to 7 years with coaching. Now, what does that mean? Is because you need to take time out of your business from the firefighting, the day-to-day, doing the sales, the admin, the emails, the HR problems. You need to take time out of that to work on your business, as you are all doing today. You and I sitting here today is working on your business because you're taking time to learn new education and to start thinking strategically about your business and how you operate in it. So today is time mastery, and it's the first step towards building the business that you want. So this is a participation exercise, and it's a very interesting one because it starts to reveal where you feel some of the leaks are in your day. So just taking a couple of minutes, write down a list of your top 3 time-wasting activities and distractions. So a couple of minutes to write down your top 3 time-wasting activities or distractions. So it could be anything. It could be random phone calls. It could be, if you work from home, people walking into your room and saying hello. It could be social media, just scrolling, anything. What would you say are your top 3 time-wasting activities or distractions? Oh, a few people are very kindly sharing in the chat box. This is for you to do privately, but if you're happy to share in the chat box, please do, because again, the more you share, the more others will as well. And it's nice to know that you're not alone in the challenges that you face in your business. Kids, personal projects, emails, a reactive attitude. That's very interesting. Material orders, family interruption, jumping off what I'm doing to firefight. Excellent. Okay, so just another 30 seconds or so. Write down where and why do you leak time? Your top 3 time wasting activities or distractions. Procrastination, very interesting. Home chores, kids. Yeah, work from home is a challenge. It is a challenge, and I've had my twins running on webinars before, so I feel for you on that. Okay, perfect. Now, continuation of this is take some time to write down the answers to the following questions. 1 to 2 lines at most, bullet points if that's how you work, but just what comes to mind. Now, emotion is very important. Understanding the emotions you feel when it comes to your own self-management, time management is very important to recognize. So how does your current time management make you feel? Do you feel overwhelmed, frustrated? Do you ever feel scared? Do you feel angry? Do you feel happy with it? You know, how does your current time management make you feel? Just write that down. Under pressure, knackered. I suppose that's a physical feeling. What about an emotional feeling? Burnt out. So write this down. Disappointed in myself. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, Michael. That's incredible. Not doing enough. Panicked. Wow. Thank you to everyone who's sharing, by the way. This is for you to write down privately. You don't have to share. If you feel comfortable in sharing, it's very important, and it does help others as well. So thank you to everyone who is sharing. But how does your current time management make you feel? Please write that down. Now, this is critical as well. How does your time management affect the relationship with your family? Now, what I mean by this is, if you remember from my story earlier on, I thought I was working to provide for my family and I'm kind of being a hero, but really I wasn't spending time with them. Even on evenings and weekends, my mind was elsewhere, or I was on my phone. Really, I was working. I wasn't physically in the moment with the people that I cared the most about. Even on holiday, I was working. Overwhelmed with not enough time with them at times. I'll be happy to share it. For me, it caused relationship problems because I wasn't committing enough quality time, and i.e. of myself, to my wife, and so that caused challenges, right? Yeah, thinking about work all the time. Absolutely. How does it affect the relationship with your family? In 5 years, will you be less busy or busier? And it's rarely the same. Rarely is it the same. You're either going to be busier or less busy. It's going to be one of the two. Fiona, the irony is I'm on a family holiday for this. Well, Fiona, for this, I think we can make an exception because it's about learning to improve your time management. So hopefully after this, the rest of the holiday is a little bit different. In 5 years' time, are you going to be less busy or busier? Okay, so if you get busier and do not change, what is the likely impact on your health, your business, and your personal relationships? Just jot that down. Busier as a business, but hopefully less busy personally. Possibly. If you get busier and you do not change, what is the likely impact on your business, health, and personal relationships? Again, jot all these answers down because you will need them later on. So have access to them. So rate out of 10 how satisfied or dissatisfied you are with the time management in your personal and business life. 1 is you're super happy, wouldn't change a thing. 10 is that you're dissatisfied and essentially at breaking point. In the middle, personally, for me, is a little bit dangerous because you're kind of ambivalent. You feel like, yeah, it's okay, I'll carry on. Does in the middle really signify that you want change or not want change? So what is your plan to change and who will help you? The second part of that is very important. If you are dissatisfied, what is your plan to change and who will help you? Because if you get busier and it's going to have certain types of impact across the board in your personal and professional life, how's that going to change in the future? And what is your plan to change and who's going to help you change? Change my attitude, me, cooks. I'd love to help, but yeah, automate admin if I can. Interesting. More delegation. Delegation, very powerful word. Saying no, powerful. Okay. So this is the key. This is the magic pill. Okay. Write down one action that you will take to improve your time or self-management. And it's critical that you add this to your diary. If you're not using a diary at the moment, add this one thing to it. What's the one action that you're going to take? Because we can sit here today and share this information, have great conversations, but it's the actions that you take outside of this that really dictate how much of a life change you're going to have. Write down one action that you will take to improve your time and self-management. Okay. This is the first tool I'd like to share with you to start giving you some control back. This handsome chap that you see on screen is called Vilfredo Pareto, and these are his pea pods. So in the 1800s, Vilfredo Pareto discovered that of the peas that he was growing in his garden, 20% of the pods were producing 80% of the peas. So he thought this was fascinating. And as he started to explore this concept, he realized that 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the families in his area. And this principle, as he started to explore this principle further, he realized it was the same with money. 80% of the money in his region was controlled by 20% of the people. And the truth is that this principle remains today. And it's known as the 80-20 rule, or the Pareto Principle. Now, how does this apply to your business? Well, if you think about it, 80% of your revenue probably comes from 20% of your clients. And 80% of the success that you've achieved has probably come from 20% of the work that you've been doing. There's been certain types of work that you've done that's had the largest and most outsized impact. So the Pareto Principle defines that the work that you prioritize is the work that should, in theory, give you 80% of the results in your business. The reason this is important when it comes to self-management and time management is that it's so easy to get sucked into trying to figure out what's important and what's not important. Because you have firefighting, you have phone calls that come in to disturb you, you have emails, you have so many different things that happen to you, especially when you're a smaller business. It might only be you or one or two other people. It's very easy to get distracted. But the Pareto Principle, if you use it effectively, allows you to choose what's the most impactful work that you can do in your day. So think about that. Just jot that down. Jot down any thoughts that come to your mind. And obviously, if anyone wants to share in the chat box, please do. But what is the most impactful work that you can do? What is your Pareto Principle? What's your 20%? Because hopefully by understanding what your 20% is, we'll start to give you some guidelines on what you should be focusing your efforts on in a day. Because if you've got 20 things to do, then 3 or 4 of those items are going to be the ones that are going to give you the biggest results. Kevin, drawing. Any others? 20% drawing. So Pareto Principle, this is your first tool, the 80-20 rule, and applying this to the most critical work that you can focus on. And bear in mind as well, when I'm talking about critical work, it doesn't necessarily only mean fee generating work. It can also be strategic work as well, i.e. what we're doing today, because the knowledge that you take away from today will have long-term and outsized impact on your business should you choose to apply the principles that we cover and make changes. Taking 2 hours out of your day or an hour out of your day to work strategically on your business has massively outsized impact on the overall success of what you achieve in a year or a couple of years. So the classic business owner's challenge. Are you wearing too many hats? Think about your answers from earlier on and all the different things that you're doing, the frustrations that you have, the emotions that you feel, the impact on your family. Does what you're doing at the moment align with where you want to take your business? There's many different hats that you wear as a business owner, especially if you're starting out or if you're a small business owner. I mean, typically when we start working with people, they're wearing 8 to 9 hats at least. What are the different roles in your business? Normally a strategist. You're the person that's trying to figure out where to go next, what to do, how to problem solve. You're the leader. You manage operations in your business. I wear all the hats as a sole practitioner. Customer liaison, exactly. You're the finance person, marketing person. You're the salesperson, HR, admin. And you're responsible for innovation as well. All of them, right? There's many more, but these are the main 9 hats that someone will wear in a business. You'd be surprised to know oftentimes when, even when we work with slightly bigger businesses, though they have teams in place, that the founder or the business owner still wears all those hats because they've not really learned to delegate or to understand that they shouldn't be wearing all those hats. What's the impact? Just jot this down. What's the impact of wearing all these hats in your business? Have a little think about that. What's the impact? And also, are you trained? Are you skilled to do the job? What training have you had? Imagine how long you've trained and studied to become a designer. And how much training and skill do you have in actually delivering any of these roles effectively? Trying this for the first time, by the way. Hopefully the hat fits. So what are the consequences of wearing too many hats in your business? Constantly juggling. Now everyone can join in on this. What's the impact? See if I can get them all to fit on my head. Diluted skills. Burnout, spinning too many plates. What else? More and more hats. So there's a saying that we have. I don't think it's the best saying, but it's the one that we have at the moment. So I'll share it. And it's essentially known as being a busy fool. So like many of you shared in the chat box, you're doing everything, and probably not to the highest quality or to the highest standard. How is it possible that you can do absolutely everything and deliver a goal that you might set for yourself 2 to 3 years into the future? And if you're doing 6, 7, 8, 9 things at the same time, the focus that you have is split accordingly. So what are some of the things that you could do to perhaps start removing some of the hats that you're wearing in your business? Employ others, yeah? What else? What else could you do? Anything else in the chat box? What else could you do to start removing some of the hats? Outsourcing. Delegating, of course, automating, yeah. There's many different things that you could do. You know, it could be better planning, better outsourcing, systemizing, delegating, of course. Yeah, planning, absolutely. But this, I would say for me, I underestimated the impact of this particular tool when I was first shown it. But since then, it's probably become the one tool that's given me the most amount of time back in my life. And it's called the default diary. I can't delegate as I'm a sole trader, but perhaps dedicate specific time for each. Possibly, but it can all happen. So default diary, anyone heard of this? Just yes or no in the chat box. Does anyone know what a default diary is? It's your weekly plan. It's a secret weapon. No. No, okay, doing it weekly. Put quite simply, a default diary is time blocking. That's the simplest version of it. If you're anything like me, I would say in the past, yeah, I'm doing it. I've used a diary. I block my time. But when? How often was I checking my diary? How often was I checking my planner? To tell the truth, not very often. Maybe once a week. I'd kind of put it all together so it looked nice, and then I'd forget about it. Wasn't really using it as the tool that it is to start giving me my life back. The default diary is critical because it allows you to put in regular meetings and priority tasks that are scheduled first. And that includes strategy and planning tasks. Even if you're by yourself as a sole trader, it's important that you have meeting blocks and so on and so forth in there, because it allows you to get into good practice for the future. It gives you an opportunity to plan out the remaining time for day-to-day tasks and to-do lists. You know, things like admin and emails and, you know, items that actually take up a lot of your time, but really shouldn't do. Now, this is critical and it's a skill that needs to be developed, but nothing happens that isn't scheduled. Think about that. Think about in your life at the moment and in your business at the moment, how many things happen on a daily basis that are not scheduled? How many things? Today, you and I sitting here is scheduled. You've known about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. I've sent you constant reminders. It's scheduled. It's been in your diary, and we're here, right now. And the idea is to get to a level where nothing happens that isn't scheduled in your diary. And this is the bit that I kind of overlooked, but no week is actually ever default. No day is actually ever default. You must revisit this default diary every single day, ideally, at a minimum every single week. So I'm going to share with you how to do this and how we can build your default diary. So a typical week. I appreciate there's going to be nuances for everyone and a few kind of ifs and buts, but just play along for the purpose of the exercise. So if this is our week, typical week, what do you think is the first item that we need to do, first action that we need to take when it comes to building our default diary for the week? What's the first consideration and what's missing here at the moment? Answers in the chat box, please. Coffee. Yes, my coffee lovers, Alex. But that's not the answer I'm looking for, but I'm going to celebrate it anyway. Production, breaks, meals and breaks, very interesting. Kevin, setting the day's start and stop times. Absolutely. Set your start and finish times. It sounds simple enough, but oftentimes we don't do it. It's why work comes home with you on evenings and weekends, because you've not set those deadlines. And we work as humans, we operate exceptionally well when it comes to deadlines and when we're held accountable to them. So if you tell your partner, your kids, or anyone that's in your life, I finish work at this time, then they're going to hold you accountable to it. What's next in the default diary? So we've put our start and end time. We've set deadlines for when we're going to start and finish our day. What's next in the default diary? Prearranged meetings. It's personal time. A few of you mentioned it earlier, but it's time for you. I'll give you another example of personal time. Every Thursday morning from 8 until 10:30, my wife and I have a coffee date. It's in the default diary. It's there. It's time for us just to go and have a coffee and sit in the park, people watch, and have a laugh, listen to some music. Because without it, it wouldn't happen. So you've made personal time. What else? What's next after personal time? Any ideas? Answers in the chat box. Work tasks, personal time, clients. It's regular meetings. Even if you don't have a team yet, create slots for regular meetings, because again, these are non-negotiables. These are things that do not move, and you must be there, especially when you've got a team, because if you've told a team member that we've got a meeting at this day at this time and you turn up, that shows you that shows them that you care, that your time is important, that their time is important. But if you actually move, make amendments when there's a client meeting or something's overrun, it shows the other person that actually their time is not as valuable as you said it was. And likewise for you. So these weekly one-to-ones, team meetings, weekly calls, non-negotiables, they stay in the default diary. Then you make time to work on your goals. Otherwise, when is it going to happen? You set a goal, but when do you actually make time to work on them? Every single week. After this, it's to-do lists. All those firefighting, smaller admin tasks, the to-do lists. Make time in the diary. You don't have to define it, but you make time in the diary as to when you're going to work on the to-do list. Travel time, someone mentioned. Thomas, you mentioned travel time. Now, this may not be applicable if you work from home, but for others, it's applicable. And you may still want to have that travel time there, even if you do work from home. Get into the habit of having that time for yourself. Go for a walk, listen to an audiobook, podcast, get some steps in. But travel time, factoring that in, even during the day when you're going to site. How many of you are factoring the amount of time it takes to get to site, do the meeting, come back? So travel. Emails. Making time to respond to emails, because you do know you don't have to respond to them straight away. The world will not end. I'm slowly getting into the habit of actually only responding to emails 3 times a week now. There are times when I'm responsive and I see something, the dopamine gets released because it pings. But I've turned off notifications, and making time, half an hour slot or an hour slot every day to answer emails gives you control back, rather than being dictated by something that's going off and grabbing your attention. Diary time is critical. Making the time to work on your diary. But the email list becomes too big, 100 emails in a day. Well, it's something for you to work on. How can you get that list down? Why is it so big? Who else can be helping you to reduce that list? And if it's 100 emails, maybe you need to take 2 days out to respond to all of those emails and organize yourself. But use the diary to do that. But making time to plan your diary is critical. Personally, mine is Monday morning. Here you can the example is Friday evening, sorry. This is not leaving too much time to do the job. Well, it's down to you to design your diary in a way that works for you, right? How many hours do you need to do the job? And if you realize that actually there's not enough hours in the day, which is the purpose of doing the default diary, it's then down to you to understand, well, how can I achieve everything that I want to achieve? Who can help me achieve everything that I want to achieve in my business? And perhaps it doesn't all fit into one day. Maybe it doesn't all fit into 1 week. If you think, a project is going to take you a week, but you have to fit in everything else in life, maybe that project takes 3 weeks. It's the purpose of the default diary is to bring a reality to your life and to bring reality to the way in which you're spending your time as a currency almost. Would to-do task count as productive work? Think of Pareto 80-20 rule. How impactful is the work that you're doing, and is it really that productive? Finally, blank space in your diary is critical because, as we know, life doesn't go to plan. Things happen, phone calls, disturbances, so on and so forth. If you book things into your diary back to back, I can guarantee you they will not happen, and you will end up with 3 or 4 hours worth of work that's just not happened and not been done. If you've never done this before and it's something that you wish to try for the first time, take a screen grab, and I'd recommend you start with this. Start with blocking personal time, regular meetings, quarterly goals, planning your diary, and blank spaces. Someone mentioned it earlier, actually. It's an iteration of no, but you will start to recognize in yourself if you're being a bit more militant about your time and a bit more disciplined about how you use your time. And I'm going to give you 3 magic words that you can use. Not right now. Someone comes in and disturbs you and they want to do something, but you're working on something critical. Not right now are the 3 magic words which changes everything. Any F1 fans? Just a yes or no in the chat box. Any F1 fans? Yes, yeah. Perfect. So look, those of you that are not, just to give you some context to the picture that you're seeing on screen, I think it's something like 10 or 20 years ago, the average pit stop took, I think it was 2 minutes or something like that, 2 to 3 minutes to change the wheels and the fuel for the cars. Any idea what it is today? Answers in the chat box. What's the average pit stop today? Seconds, 2 to 3 seconds. It's outrageous. It's mind-blowing how quickly they change everything up in the car, but it's been marginal gains over 10 to 20 years. It's not happened overnight. And much like yourself, I would implore that you treat yourselves with kindness to start with. Give yourself time and give yourself grace to make the changes in your life that are needed to be made. If you can, get a mentor or a coach, whether it's me or whether it's someone else, it doesn't really matter, but get someone that's going to hold you accountable, mentor you and help you in making the changes. If you're serious about changing your life and think about some of the questions that you answered earlier. And more importantly, this last one, take daily actions outside of what we've talked about today. Unless you take action, your life will not change. And we would have just spent a lovely hour together, I hope. So what does it mean to take action? I got this email a couple of days ago from my colleague, from a fellow CIAT member, who came to one of our webinars, took action, and has actually been getting some coaching as well. This is what he shared. In just 3 months of coaching, he now has a waiting list of clients for the first time ever, which blew my mind. The quality of leads that the person is getting is much better, and his ability to convert them has significantly improved through a new sales pitch. For the first time, he has clarity on how to set his fees and how to talk about them confidently in a way that builds trust with potential clients. And finally, I think more importantly, he has more focus, clearly defined goals, and more free time. And this is someone that was working all of the time. but now he has more free time and he's genuinely feeling excited about the future. Now, why am I sharing this with you? First of all, it is a fellow CIA team member who's a sole trader. They took action. That's the ultimate point of this. They took action and they made changes outside of the event. And I just think it's really wonderful that life can genuinely change if you put in the work, and that's why I wanted to share this with you. As I said at the top of the presentation, this webinar is part 1, and part 2 is a gifted one-to-one coaching session to work on any of the challenges that we've covered today and any other challenges that you might be facing in your business. It's a gifted one-to-one coaching session. All you need to do is scan the QR code, take action today, take action right now, because otherwise it won't happen. If you are interested and if you are serious about making some changes in your life and starting to bring some of your time back. Just as a gauge of if anyone is interested in doing this or is thinking of doing this, can you just put a yes or a no in the chat box, just so that I can understand if that might be of interest? A good few yeses coming through. Okay, so look, there's a couple of minutes still. You can literally do this right now. Scan the QR code. I'm actually going to share a link with you as well, because I know sometimes a QR code doesn't quite work. So if you bear with me. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes whilst you scan the QR code. I'm just going to get the link for you as well. Yeah, but need to discuss with a partner first. Catherine, I'd recommend that you just scan and sign up, because there's certain time blocks available. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work, you can either move the time block or you can cancel it. And there's no commitments. There's nothing like that at all. It is a gifted coaching session. And if you wish to learn more about coaching, we can share that with you, obviously. But it is about taking the next step and working on your business further. Bear with me 1 second. I mean, it will take you a few minutes. So just in the chat box now, I've shared a link. Oh. Waiting on this meeting. Okay. Okay. I've just shared the link in the chat box, everyone. I'll share it again in case you missed it. And again, those of you on social media, Instagram is the best way to connect. Just a yes in the chat box from if you can see that link, or if I should just share it again. Can you just let me know? Yeah, you got the link. Perfect. Okay, so whilst those of you who want to sign up, who want to take some action and get some additional coaching, I'd like to know, what actions are you going to take following what we've covered today? What action, what change are you going to take today to start to win back some of your time? Just some answers in the chat box, please, to let me know what everyone's thinking. Daily diary, default diary. Love this. The default diary. Close my email account down. Changing habits. Diary blocking. Fantastic. Fantastic. So look, just whilst we've got a couple of more minutes, the default diary is a very powerful tool, but I can just tell you this, it does take work. It's something that you must work on every single day, especially if you've never done it before. And think of it as a tool, like a smartphone or like your laptop. It is a tool for you to use. I personally use Google Calendar because I can color code things and move things around. Don't take my laptop home, give myself a stop time. I love that, Chris. I love that. That is brilliant. Try and change email response habits. Excellent. Excellent. Just going to share the link again. There's been quite a few messages. Tell my family of my intentions. I love that, Gary. That is immensely powerful. Because you know the minute you tell anyone that you're about to do something, they will hold you accountable to it, especially if they're that close to you. Any others? What other actions will everyone be taking? Tom Elliott. Seek someone who's going to hold you accountable. I love that. Yes, the recording will be sent out, James. It will be sent out later on today or tomorrow, I believe. And okay, so key action we've shared. Any others? Any other key actions that you'd like to share in the chat box? CPD certificates. I'll come on to that in a second, Thomas. What about a light bulb? So beyond an action, what's the biggest light bulb that's gone off for you today? The biggest kind of aha moment or realization for you? Again, sharing in the chat box if you're happy to do so, please. Seeing that other people on the same boat, that you're not alone. Fantastic. Employee not fulfilling a job role. Helen, having life and work balance is possible. Yeah, it's, I mean, if I can share something with you on that, Helen, what I've learned is that there is actually no such thing as work-life balance. There's only life. And actually how you choose to live your life, self-management, is what people may call work-life balance, but it's actually how you choose to live your life. We all have the time available. It's how we manage ourselves within that time to do everything that's expected of us or that we expect of ourselves. And that's why the default diary is so powerful at all, is that it helps you realize and confront reality of what it is that you're actually wearing, what it is that you're actually having to do. I'm just sharing the link again because we're getting quite a few people coming through. Sorry, I realized I sent a direct message to people. If you are trying to book, do you do group sessions for similar size practices or sole traders? Yeah, Declan, yeah, there's many ways that we work with people. The gifted session, if there's multiple owners in the business, we could do it as a group. It's on Zoom, and we can work specifically through whatever challenges that you may be facing. Having the nerve to say not right now. Yeah, try it, Gary. It's empowering. A little bit scary at first, but it's empowering. Excellent. Okay, well, look, everyone, I wanted to thank you for your time, and once again, congratulate you on making the time to invest in yourselves like you have done today. All of those that have taken action and booked the additional coaching and the additional help. I'm really excited to work with you and help you. And yeah, if you need anything else, feel free to stay in contact. I'm just going to share the link one last time for those of you who may need it. And until the next one, the next webinar with CIAT, I will see you then. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.